Imagine living in a world where countries judge their strength not by ideas or diplomacy, but by how many battleships and soldiers they could show off. That was Europe before World War I, and it set the stage for disaster. This mindset is called militarism, the belief that a nation must maintain a strong military and be ready to use it aggressively. In the early 1900s, militarism wasn't just a policy, it was a culture. It shaped governments, influenced people's sense of national pride, and affected how nations treated each other. Some historians, especially intentionalists, argue that because leaders were already thinking in military terms, war was almost inevitable. One clear example of militarism was the naval arms race between Germany and Britain. Germany started building dreadnoughts to challenge Britain's dominance, and Britain responded by building even more ships. This arms race didn't just make them stronger, it also made them suspicious and fearful of each other. Intentionalist historians argue that Germany's buildup wasn't just defensive, it was a deliberate attempt to gain power and influence in Europe. In this view, leaders were already thinking strategically about war, which made the eventual conflict more of a choice than an accident. Another key part of militarism was the belief that war could be actually good for a nation. Many leaders expected a quick, decisive victory that would strengthen their country and boost national pride. Intentionalist historians argue that the overconfidence didn't just make leaders reckless, it made them actively consider war as a tool to achieve political and strategic goals. They weren't just reacting to events, they were weighing options, calculating risks, in some cases hoping that a limited conflict could benefit their nation. So when Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, countries mobilized almost immediately, worried that delaying actions would put them at a disadvantage. Militaristic thinking, combined with these intentional decisions by leaders, turned what could have been a regional crisis into a full-scale global war. In this sense, the war wasn't just an accident of events, it reflected choices made by leaders who saw military actions as both necessary and potentially advantageous. In conclusion, militarism played a major role in pushing Europe into World War I. By glorifying military strength, encouraging massive arms races, and giving military leaders more influence than diplomats, it created an environment where countries expected and even accepted the ideas of war. This mindset didn't just shape military planning, it shaped how governments thought about security, power, and national prestige. Intentionalist historians also point out that leaders weren't simply reacting to unfolding events. They were making deliberate choices based on their own ambitions and the belief that war could strengthen their nation or advance their political goals. Because of this, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand didn't remain a small regional crisis. Instead, governments responded with speed and aggression, fearing that hesitation would make them look weak. Ultimately, the combination of militaristic values and the intentional decisions of key leaders transformed one event in the Balkans into a conflict that engulfed the entire world.